Hello, experimenting a little bit, just kind of chatting for a second, make sure we've got all our settings right. But I think we are good to go. Let me make sure. Well, that's just muting myself. Okay, sorry about that if you heard that. But I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead. So, one thing I want to note before we dive in is that this is going to be a two-parter, just because I have kind of looked ahead, and book 4 is by far the longest book we've read thus far. So just for the sake of my voice and not editing, well, maybe editing in the long run, but I'm just going to do kind of split it in half. So just kind of an FYI. But with that said, let's go ahead and dive in. So this is the Odyssey, book 4, written by Homer, translated by Samuel Butler. They reached the lie-lowing city of Lacedaemon, them where they drove straight to the abode Menelaus and found him in his own house, feasting with his many clansmen in honor of the wedding of his son and also of his daughter, whom he was marrying to the son of the valiant warrior Achilles. He had given his consent and promised her to him while he was still at Troy, and now the gods were bringing the marriage about. So he was promised her to so he was sending her with chariots and horses to the city of the Myrmidons, over whom Achilles' son was reigning. For his only son he had found a bride from Sparta, daughter of Elector. This son, Megapinthus, was born to him of a bondwoman, for heaven vouchsafed Helen no more children after she had borne Hermione, who was fair as golden Venus herself. So the neighbors and kinsmen of Menelaus were feasting and making merry in his house. There was a bard also to sing to them and play his lyre, while two tumblers went about performing in the midst of them when the man struck up with his tune. Telemachus and the son of Nestor stayed their horses at the gate, whereon Eteneus, servant of Menelaus, came out, and as soon as he saw them, ran hurrying back into the house to tell his master. He went close up to him and said, "Menelaus, there are some strangers come here, 2 men who look like sons of Jove. What are we to do? Shall we take their horses out, or tell them to find friends elsewhere as they best can?" Menelaus was very angry and said, "Eteneus, son of Boethus, you never used to be a fool, but now you talk like a simpleton. Take their horses out, of course, and show the strangers in that they may have supper. You and I have stayed often enough at other people's houses before we got back here, where heaven grant that we may rest in peace henceforward." So Atenius bustled back and bade other servants come with him. They took their sweating hands from under the yoke, made them fast to the mangers, and gave them a feed of oats and barley mixed. Then they leaned the chariot against the end wall of the courtyard, and led the way into the house. Telemachus and Pisistratus were astonished when they saw it, for its splendor was that of the sun and moon. Then, when they had admired everything to their heart's content, they went into the bathroom and washed themselves. When the servants had washed them and anointed them in oil, they brought them woolen cloaks and shirts, and the two took their seats by the side of Menelaus. A maidservant brought them clean water and a beautiful golden ewer, and poured it into a silver basin for them to wash their hands. And she drew a clean table beside them. An upper servant brought them bread and offered many good things of what was in their house, while the carver fetched them plates of all manner of meats and set cups of gold by their side. Menelaus then greeted them, saying, "Fall to and welcome. When you have done supper, I shall ask you who you are, for the lineage of such men as you cannot have been lost. You must be descended from a line of scepter-bearing kings, for poor people do not have such sons as you are." On this he handed them a piece of fat roast loin, which had been set near him as being a prime part, and they laid their hands on the good things that were set before them. As soon as they had enough to eat and drink, Telemachus said to the son of Nestor, with his head so close that no one might hear, "Look, Pisistratus, man after my own heart, see the gleam of bronze and gold, of amber, ivory, and silver. Everything is so splendid that it is like seeing the palace of Olympian Jove. I am lost in admiration." Whew, I'm going to take just a second. This is going to be a long paragraph right here. Menelaus overheard him and said, "No, no one, my sons, can hold his own with Jove, for his house and everything about him is immortal. But among mortal men, well, there may be another who has much as wealth as I have, or there may not be. But at all events, I have traveled much and have undergone much hardship, for it was nearly 8 years before I could get home with my fleet. I went to Cyprus, Phoenicia, and the Egyptians. I went also to the Ethiopians, the Sidonians, and the Erymbians, and to Libya, where the lambs have horns as soon as they are born, and the sheep lamb down 3 times a year. Everyone in that country, whether master or man, has plenty of cheese, meat, and good milk, for the ewes yield all the year round. But while I was traveling and getting great riches among these people, my brother was secretly and shockingly murdered through the the perfidy of his wicked wife, so that I have no pleasure in being lord of all this wealth. Whoever your parents may be, they must have told you all about this, and of my heavy loss in the ruin of a stately mansion, fully and magnificently furnished. Would that I had only a third of what I now have, so that I had stayed home, and all these were living who perished on the plain of Troy, far from Argos. I of grieve as I sit here in my house for one of and all of them. At times I cry aloud for sorrow, but presently I leave off again, for crying is cold comfort, and one soon tires of it. Yet grieve for these as I may. I do so for the one man more than all of them. I cannot even think of him without loathing both food and sleep. So miserable does he make me. For no one of all the Achaeans worked so hard or risked so much as he did. He took nothing by it, and has left a legacy of sorrow to myself. For he was gone a long time, and we know not whether he is alive or dead. His old father, his long-suffering wife Penelope, and his son Telemachus, whom he left behind him an infant in arms, are plunged in grief on his account." Thus spoke Menelaus, and the heart of Telemachus yearned as he bethought him of his father. Tears fell from his eyes as he heard thus mentioned, so that he held his cloak before his face with both hands. When Menelaus saw that he doubted whether to let him choose his own time for speaking, or to ask him at once and find what it was all about. While he was thus in 2 minds, Helen came down from her high vaulted and perfumed room, looking as lovely as Diana herself. Adrast brought her a seat. Alcippe, that's probably not right, a soft woolen rug, while Philo fetched her the silver workbox which Alcandra, wife of Polybus, had given her. Polybus lived in Egyptian Thebes, which is the richest city in the whole world. He gave Menelaus 2 baths, both of pure silver, 2 tripods, and 10 talents of gold. Besides all this, his wife gave Helen some beautiful presents, to wit, a golden distaff and a silver workbox that ran on wheels, with a gold band round top of it. Philo now placed this by her side, full of fine spun yarn, and a distaff charged with violet-colored wool was laid upon top of it. Then Helen took her seat, put her feet upon the footstool, and began to question her husband. "Do we know, Menelaus," she said, "the names of these strangers who have come to visit us? Shall I guess right or wrong? But I cannot help saying that what I think. Never yet have I seen either man or woman so like somebody else. Indeed, when I look at him, I hardly know what to think. as this young man is like Telemachus, whom Ulysses left as a baby behind him, when the Achaeans went to Troy with the battle in your hearts, on account of my most shameless self. My dear wife, replied Menelaus, I see the likeness just as you do. His hands and feet are just like Ulysses. So is his hair, with the shape of his head and expression of his eyes. Moreover, when I was talking about Ulysses and saying how much he had suffered on my account, tears fell from his eyes, and he hid his face in his mantle. Then Pisistratus said, Menelaus, son of Atreus, are you right in thinking that this young man is Telemachus? But he is very modest, and is ashamed to come here and begin opening up discourse with one whose conversation is so divinely interesting as your own. My father, Nestor, sent me to escort him hither, for he wanted to know whether you could give him any counsel or suggestion. A son as has always trouble at home when his father has gone away, leaving him without supporters. And this is how Telemachus is now placed, for his father is absent, and there is no one among him or among his people to stand by him. Bless my heart, replied Menelaus. Then I am receiving a visit from the son of a very dear friend, who suffered much hardship for my sake. I had always hoped to entertain him with most marked distinction. When heaven had granted us a safe return from beyond the seas, I should have founded a city for him in Argos, and built him a house. I should have made him leave Ithaca with his goods, his son, and all his people, and he should have sacked for them some of the neighboring cities that are subject to me. We should thus have seen one another continually, and nothing but death could have interrupted so close and happy an intercourse. I suppose, however, that heaven grudged as soon as great good fortune, for it has prevented the poor fellow from ever getting home at all. Thus did he speak, and his words set them all a weeping. Helen wept, Telemachus wept, and so did Menelaus, nor could Pisistratus keep his eyes from filling, when he remembered his dear brother Antilochus, whom the son of bright dawn had killed. Thereon he said to Menelaus, Sir, my father Nestor, when we used to talk about you at home, told me you were a person of rare and excellent understanding. If then it is possible to do you as I would urge you. Do as I would urge you. I am not fond of crying while I am getting my supper. Morning will come in due course, and in the forenoon I care not how much I cry for those that are dead and gone. This is all we can do for the poor things. We can only shave our heads for them and wring the tears from our cheeks. I had a brother who died at Troy. He was by no means the worst man there. You are sure to have known him. His name was Antilochus. I had never set eyes upon him myself, but they say that he was singularly fleet of foot and in fight valiant. Your discretion, my friend, answered Menelaus, is beyond your years. It is plain you take after your father. One can see when a man is son to one whom heaven has blessed, both as regards wife and offspring, and has blessed Nestor from first and last of all of his days, giving him a green old age in his own house, with sons about him who are both we disposed and valiant. We will put an end, therefore, to all this weeping, and attend our suppers again. Let water be poured over our hands. Telemachus and I can talk to one another fully in the morning. On the Asphalion, one of the servants poured water over their heads and laid their hands on the good things that were before them. Okay, well, I don't think I'm quite halfway through, but some things came up. I need to go ahead and hop off. We'll keep going. I may break this into more than just two parts, depending on how this is, but we're going to go ahead and pause there. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what you think of the story so far, and I'll talk to y'all later.